Last spring, a gardener filled an entire cart at the garden center with rooting powder, mycorrhizal inoculant, transplant vitamins, premium potting mix, a pre-emergent spray, a slow-release fertilizer with a glossy label, and a ready-to-use pest spray that cost $14 for a bottle that was mostly water. The garden that followed was ordinary. Nothing failed. Nothing thrived. This year, the same gardener spent almost nothing. The same beds, the same plants, better results. What changed was not effort. What changed was understanding what those products actually contain. Every spring, the same scene plays out in garden centers everywhere. A gardener walks in with a real problem: a yellowing transplant, a rose covered in aphids, a bed filling with weed seedlings, and the shelf offers a bottle for each one. Bold labels, clinical language, guarantees printed in green ink. It is hard to walk out without spending $60 on things that feel like necessities. Some of those products work. That is the honest starting point. The question is not whether they work. The question is whether they work better than what you already have, and whether the price reflects the actual benefit. In at least 7 cases, it does not. And the reason comes down to one thing most gardeners never consider while standing in that aisle. A bottle sitting on a shelf must survive the shelf. It must remain chemically stable for 18 months, survive warehouse temperature swings, and stay inactive until it reaches your garden. That is what every product in that aisle is engineered to do. But the most useful things in your garden, fungal threads, microbial communities, root hormones, fresh biological activity, are not stable. They are alive. They cannot sit in a bottle for 18 months. The shelf requires stability. Biology requires freshness. That single difference explains why so many garden center products are an expensive version of something that already exists in your soil, your compost pile, or a jar of warm water on your kitchen counter. Start with the sharpest example. Mycorrhizal inoculants have become one of the most popular categories in the garden center. The idea is genuinely compelling. Fungi extend far beyond root tips, mining phosphorus and minerals in exchange for plant sugars and multiplying the effective reach of the root zone considerably. The relationship is real and well documented, but researchers at the University of Kansas, along with peer-reviewed work examined through the Garden Professors Network, found that commercial inoculants applied to healthy garden soils show no measurable benefit in most cases. The fungi are already there. In composted, mulched, undisturbed soil, native mycorrhizal communities are already present and already forming root partnerships. You cannot buy what healthy soil grows itself. The twist is worse. When soil has been treated with high-phosphorus fertilizer, which describes many backyard beds, the plant suppresses fungal partnerships entirely because it has enough phosphorus already. Some commercial inoculant products were found to contain synthetic phosphorus fertilizer added to produce visible short-term growth, while that same phosphorus was silently preventing the fungi from establishing. You pay for fungi, and the fertilizer in the package prevents them from forming. The real alternative costs nothing. Stop disturbing the soil, apply 3 to 4 inches of wood chip mulch, add compost, and stop routine high phosphorus applications. The fungi will find the roots on their own. The ready-to-use pest spray is a simpler case. The active ingredient in most versions is potassium soap, which disrupts the outer membrane of soft-bodied insects on contact, such as aphids, whiteflies, and spider mites. The mechanism is real. The price is not. A bottle of pure, unscented Castile soap, diluted at 1 teaspoon per quart of lukewarm water in a clean spray bottle, does the same job at a fraction of the cost. One concentrated bottle makes dozens of batches. The important distinction noted by Cornell University Extension is that regular dish soap is not Castile soap. Most dish soaps are synthetic detergents that can strip the protective coating from plant leaves, especially in warm conditions. Pure Castile soap, diluted correctly, is safe on the plant and effective on the pest. Apply it in the evening, coat pests directly, and rinse leaves after 30 minutes if plants are already showing any stress. Premium bagged potting mix follows a similar logic. Most of what is in that bag is peat moss, inexpensive, widely available, and prone to becoming water repellent when it dries out completely. To solve that problem, manufacturers add a synthetic surfactant. That wetting agent is largely what you are paying for in the moisture control premium. A single drop of Castile soap in a watering can does the same thing by reducing water surface tension and allowing it to penetrate dry peat rather than running off. The starter fertilizer charge, often mentioned on premium mix labels, washes out after 2 or 3 waterings, as noted by University of Massachusetts Extension research. A reliable mix of coir or peat, perlite, and finished compost costs 30 to 50% less and brings living microbial activity that no sealed bag can match after sitting in a warehouse for months. Rooting hormone powder is the product most gardeners buy from uncertainty rather than actual need. The active compound in commercial formulas is indole-3-butyric acid, which signals root cells to divide. Young willow shoots soaked in lukewarm water for 24 to 48 hours release the same compound naturally. Strain the liquid and use it within a week, applying it as a soak for cuttings or a gentle pour around newly transplanted seedlings. Do not use hot water. Heat breaks down the compounds before they can be extracted. For tomatoes, basil, cucumbers, and most annual vegetables, even willow water is unnecessary. These plants root so reliably that no hormone is needed at all. The commercial powder still earns its place for difficult hardwood cuttings from roses and woody shrubs, where higher concentrations matter. But that is a narrow use case, not the broad category the shelf display implies. Branded slow-release granular fertilizer is often identical in nutrient composition to generic alternatives at 2 to 3 times the price. More importantly, both are frequently applied to soil that does not need what they contain. A soil test, available through most county extension offices for $10 to $20, reveals exactly what the soil is missing and what it already holds in excess. Applying nitrogen-heavy fertilizer to soil with adequate nitrogen does not help plants grow. It leaches into groundwater and suppresses the microbial life that keeps soil biologically active. Finished compost added each spring and fall does more for long-term soil nutrition than most single-dose granular applications because it feeds the microbial communities that convert and release nutrients steadily over time. The bag is not feeding the plant, the biology is. Bottled pre-emergent weed preventer is a product the garden center sells partly because the shelf-stable version of weed suppression requires formulation chemistry and packaging that cost money. The most effective pre-emergent available to any backyard gardener is 3 to 4 inches of wood chip mulch applied to bare bed surfaces before the soil warms in early spring. A thick mulch layer blocks the light weed seeds need to trigger germination. It does not require precise timing, a dry follow-up period, or a rain window. It slowly improves soil biology as it decomposes, and tree services or municipal programs often supply it free. Leave several inches of clearance around plant stems to prevent rot, and spread it generously across open bed surfaces. Nothing on the shelf suppresses weeds, builds soil, and costs nothing simultaneously. Transplant stress products, small bottles promising root support and seedling vitamins, typically contain seaweed extract and diluted humic acids. Seaweed extract does contain compounds with cytokinin-like activity, which are genuine plant signals involved in cell division and root establishment. The biology is sound. The markup is not. Liquid kelp concentrate costs around $8 to $10 and makes 50 or more gallons of transplant solution at 1 teaspoon per gallon. The branded version at $18 often makes 4 gallons. Apply either one to the root zone at transplanting time, not over the foliage, during that brief recovery window when roots are not yet established in new soil. It supports the transition. It does not rescue a plant set into dry, compacted ground. The preparation still matters more than the supplement. None of these methods is a guaranteed overnight fix. A plant with dead roots and collapsed tissue cannot be pulled back regardless of what is applied. Heavy pest pressure in peak summer may need more than a soap spray. These are support tools, not replacements for soil preparation, correct watering, and plant selection suited to the conditions. What they do, used at the right time, is close the gap between what the soil offers and what the plant needs, without the markup, the synthetic stabilizers, or the assumption that the most useful thing in a garden always comes in a plastic bottle. The garden does not read labels. It reads what is in the soil and what touches the root. Walk past that shelf with a clearer eye, and the cart stays lighter. The beds do not notice the difference. If this kind of practical, grounded approach to growing is useful to you, there is one more ingredient worth knowing, something most gardeners bag for the bin every autumn that does more for root biology the following spring than most products on that shelf ever will.